Okay, let's look at the two areas that gave people the most problems here. Most of you were okay with the uh, information that you already had, the loan amount, the term, the interest rate. Financed amount is the same as loan since we're not doing a down payment. But we had to calculate a payment. So let's concentrate on the payment first and then go back and put the payment in an F error. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to a completely blank area and calculate my payment again. For any of your functions, just go to the FX and tell it what you're wanting to do. I can say payment on loan. I can even say payment. And it's going to come up. Or I could go by some category. Okay? Now, I have to fill in these three pieces of information. Okay? I have my rate. I have my term or number of payments, and we're going to have to go back and fix that in just a little bit. And then what is the amount that I'm working with? Now I can go ahead and enter these in, but we're going to find our payment's a little high, and it is a negative. And why might that be? It's because we're working with months. So we have to divide our term rate by 12. And I can look at my existing one and tell that I have to divide that by 12. But when I get to my rate, I have to, my term, I have to multiply. So my rate, which is D7, I divide. Our term, I have to multiply. So I can go back over here and again, I can use these just to make sure that I've got everything correct here. So I'm going to get completely out. And when I go back in to change it, again, divided by 12, multiplied by 12. It still shows red because I'm making a payment. It's a negative. So in order to reverse the sign, put a minus in front of it. There you go. Okay. Now to take this and work within the F error, again, I'm going to copy this to the clipboard and let's go back to our payment here and let's do our F error. Now I can see here the F error has two parts. I have to tell it the function, which again I could find by using the FX, and it tells me I've got actually two parts here. I have the payment calculation, or if this first part before the comma gives me no error, then it will display the results. If it does give me an error, it'll display after the comma. Another calculation, a zero, whatever you want it to display. But it has to work with two parts. The one that gives you no error that you actually want to calculate, and what happens if the previous one does give you an error. So you can see the value or the value if there's an error. And I'm going to do the same thing with the next one. My total paid is going to be my H5 multiplied times my D6, my terms, times 12. And it really doesn't matter about the D6 or the 12. They could be either position. Okay. And then, of course, total interest is going to be the total paid minus the financed amount. Okay. Now, here's the one that gave most people the problem. So let's look at what we're dealing with here on creating a data table. And some of you may have gotten data, but not using the what if. If you just used the regular payment and just did all the calculations yourself, then I went ahead and gave partial of the bonus. But here's how it works. Okay. I have my data table set up. My interest rate is what is changing, which is based on D7. I have the monthly payments, total interest. We have to enter the first row of information correctly, just without using a data table. So to make it so it shows up as the cell reference, I got to start off with an assignment or an equal symbol, and the monthly payment is actually in H5. Okay. Now in my, again, I can enter that. My total payments, again, assign, total paid, I'm done with it. Assign, total interest, I'm done with it. Now, I'm ready to select the area that has my data, or will have my data, and has the changing amounts. So I go to my what if data table. Now, which row or which column has the input cell? Well, we can see that everything is going to be based upon an interest rate changing. And the interest rates are based in a column, not a row. So we want to go down here till it's a column input cell. And that's where the interest rate is within the scenario. Okay, that's what it starts out at. So I can go ahead and select this and click on OK. And there's my values. And remember, I told you that there was an error that came up inside what I said there was going to be versus what it came up to be. Okay? But wasn't that easy once you figured out or once you see what information you're supposed to hold? Now, if those interest rates would have been across a row, then I would have told it that my input cell was a row input cell and not a column input cell. Hope this clears up any of the issues, the filter, the goal, the pivot table, the answer you got at the end. It was pretty straightforward. But if you have any issues or you need any more information, just give me a call. Okay? Thank you.